Hi, hello, hi guys. So today I'll be discussing about Java data types. So not just data types though, we're going to discuss data types, variables, and operators rather for today. So una muna is the data types. So what we're going to discuss is what are the kinds of data types, what are data types in, for example. So guys, basically data types, these are the uh, how do you call this? This what describes what a variable is. So you'll know also what a variable is later, pero it's just the same with your basic math concepts of what is a variable. So there are different kinds of data types. So we have what we call the primitive data types. So so for Java programming language, we have 8 primitive data types. So we have Boolean, character, we have byte, short, int, long, and then we have double and float. Okay, so next one. Hello, kapikas dyan. Okay, so next is we have logical or Boolean. These are the kinds of data types. So we have 8, we have Boolean, we have char. We have byte, short, int, long, double, and float. So for logical or we have Boolean, this is a data type that represents two states. So it is true or false. Basically, it will say kung, yun nga, true or false. So we have an example here. So we have Boolean result is equal to true. Another value for that can be false. So Boolean result is equal to false. So the example above declares a variable named result. So the variable here is the result. And as a Boolean type, here's the data type. And then assigned it a value of true. Ayan. So basically, it just says true or false. Yun lang yun, Boolean. When we say Boolean, it's always just true or false. Don't get confused. Okay, so next one is we have textual or we have character, the character. So we have the character data type or as known as represents a single Unicode character. So basically, mag-isa lang siya. It must have its literal enclosed in single quote. So for example, this one, the letter A and \T, we have a tab. So to represent special characters like maybe single quote or double quote, we use the escape character first. I had encountered with your activity, had a problem using the / because of, yun nga, hindi siya pwedeng gamitin. So you need to, or maybe the quote, ganun. Kasi you need to enclose it with a / again. So yeah. Okay, so next thing is, we have string. Yun nga, although string is not really a primitive data type, we will just introduce string here. So basically, a string represents a data type that contains multiple characters. So it is not a primitive data type. So as you can make pansin, yung mga primitive data type kasi is small letters sila all in small caps sila like Boolean, ganyan. But for string, it is actually in Pascal case. So when we say Pascal case, diba guys, it is a class. So basically, it is not a primitive data type, but it is a class. But it has a property, it has the properties of being a data type. That's why we are introducing it. So, the usage of string compared to the string carries multiple characters, or you can also have like spaces, they call this symbols and stuffs, and it is enclosed with double quote instead of having like the character na single quote lang. Ayan. So if you're going to call for string or you're going to use it as a data type, you just write string message and then double quote then the string that you want to show. It's just the same with how you're using primitive data types. Okay, so next one is we have the integrals. So we have 4 types of integrals. So when we say integrals, basically they are the whole numbers. So everything here is actually a whole number and not something with the decimal place. So we have byte, short, int, saka long. So integral data types in Java uses three forms. So we have decimal, octal, and hexadecimal. So in the number systems, we have lots of number system in in computer or computer programming. So we have decimal, octal, hexadecimal, and also we have binary that will be discussed during your IT1. So we have here like 2077. So basically they are same whole numbers, but they are only expressed in different number forms or number systems rather. So we have integral type has int as a default data type. So ang default po is int, but always we can actually use the byte, short, int, and long. So what are the difference between the four is their ranges. Gaano sila gaano kalaki yung range nilang numbers. So byte being the smallest and long being the largest or the tama, pinakamalaking numbers na nakikater. So we have 8-bit for byte, 16-bit for short, 32-bit for int or int, and 64 bits for long. So this will determine kung para saan ba yung purpose mo ng paggamit ng integral. Or like if you're just going to use like maybe 2 digits or something like that, you can use byte, or if you're using like trillion, million, billion, trillion, gazillion, kemeru, you may use long, especially pag sobrang laki na talaga. Pero the default naman for integral is int. It's not that small, but it's not that big also. So I think every data that is being processed right now, kaya naman na siguro ng int. Unless you're Villar or like Ayala, you're rich. Tapos sobrang laki na ng yaman mo. Yan, you intend to use, like kulang pa yung 2 raised to 31 minus 1 for you. Then you use long. Ayan. So, the next one is we have a floating point. So we have we have float and double. So for floating point, these are numbers that with the decimal place. So may point dyan. So floating point types has double as the default data type. So floating point literals include either a decimal point or exponential, float, or double. So we have an example something here. So what are the difference between float and double? Same. They are both capable, but then mas malaki lang yung isa. So 32-bit for float, and then we have 64-bit for double. The default for here, the floating point, is we use double kasi we may have repetitive decimals. That's why we need to cater it kaya double. Ayan. So we have how do we use like data types? Basically, we are going to use them with variables because data types will determine kung anong klase or kung anong data yung i-cater ng variable. Yan. That's why we have our variables here. Okay, so what are variables? Actually, they're like your literal meaning ng variable. So it is an item of data used to store state of objects. So the variable has a data type and a name. So the data type indicates what type of value that the variable can hold. And then the variable name must follow rules for identifiers. So guys, you remember during our last two meetings, I think, that you should always follow coding rules or coding guidelines na we should name our variables na something makes sense. Don't just write X, don't just A, B, C, D, E, keme, ganon, wag. Always remember that some people will read your code, or you yourself, maybe one time malito ka. That's why you need to say that you need to tell, or you need to put names sa variable mo na make sense. Ayan. To avoid confusion, of course. Okay, so how do we declare a variable? So we're going to declare a variable as follows. So we have a data type here, then the name, and then initial value. Basically, the data type and the name is required, yet the initial value is optional because you can actually initialize a variable without indicating its initial value. automatically wala siyang laman. So, yun, pwede yun. Pwede rin walang laman. Yung utak, the joke. Okay, so, example, we have, okay, so let's just have an example for this. Okay, before we have an example, let's just go here. So in order to output the value of a certain variable, we can use the following commands. So we have system.out.println and then system.out.print. Okay, so we're going to our here. Okay, so this is an example I created. So this is the class data type. And so we're just dealing with data types and variables here. So as you can see, I created some variables with an initial value. So we have Boolean here, papasaba ako. Notice the casing of the name. So first letter of the first word is small caps, and then the next words are capital letters. So this is the camel case. So since it is Boolean, there are only two possible values. So we have true and false. So for this one, Boolean papasaba ako, I indicated false. Okay, so next is we have integer grade. Since in, yan. So in, it is an integral, therefore, wala siyang decimal. And then for double, we have average. And then so I included like a decimal place here. 999, yan. And then we have a character grade. So we have F. So papansin nyo, if I have more variables here, they really speak to themselves and not just like int is equal to 7. No, not like that. We should always tell kung ano yung ilalagay natin dyan. So how to print out a, we call this? A variable is, we just use system.out.println and then we include the variable name. We don't enclose it with double quote because it will detect that it is a string. It will print like literal na grade. So if I put like double quote here, ayan, alala ang mag-print dyan is, yan, it will show the literal grade. Kasi akala niya, yun yung priniprint ko. Akala niya yung string ang priniprint ko. So, we're going to have this. Therefore, yung grade, yung 70 yung nagpakita. Hindi nyo pala siya nakikita. Wait lang. Shucks, sorry. Ayan. So, ulitin ko lang. Hindi pala kasi sa screen. Ayan. Okay, so, ulitin ko lang. Pag kinote mo yung grade, dinoble quote mo yung grade, ang magpapakita is grade na literal. So, kapag tinanggal ko to, it will show, yan, something like that. So, what if we want to include some labels or stuff? So, basically, we're going to concatenate strings. What we're going to do is we write grade here. This is the string that we're going to concatenate with, plus grade. Okay, so that is the key to the pagdugtong, the plus sign. Yun yung susi para maconcatenate yung iyong string. So you have this. So we have maybe just like pass or failed. Then we add plus, we add plus here, plus. Okay. So you have this one. Ayan. So we have something like that. Okay, so next thing that we're going to discuss is we're going to have so that is for the example. Okay, so next is we have operators. So operators, basically this is your math operators. Ayon, so plus, ayan, arithmetic operators. So we have actually 4 kinds of operators, but for this lesson, we're just going to discuss 2 for you not to be overloaded. Okay, so we have arithmetic operators. We have plus, minus, multiply, divide. divide. And then we have modulo here. So what does a modulo do? It gets the remainder of the things, of the 2 numbers that you divided it with. Ayon, basta ganon. So basically that. Okay. So I think you know this naman na. Basically, it's just that. Yan na yon. And same, it follows the PEMDAS rules. Same math, same cheme. Okay, so the next one is we have the increment and the decrement operators. So for the increment and decrement operators, we have this special operator for programming that we use plus plus or minus minus if we want to increase or decrease a value stored in a number variable by 1. So basically, the value of count is equal to count plus 1 is equivalent to count plus plus. So for example, if the value of count is 3, and then you add plus plus to it, automatically it will be 4. But there are some conditions as well. So the first is we have before and after. So magkaiba yung mangyayari pag nakalagay yung plus plus before the variable or after the variable. So it's a bit tricky, but here's the difference. So the increment and the decrement operators can be placed before or after an operand. So when it is before, dun siya mag-add agad-agad before may evaluate yung expression. But if it is added after, it will be evaluated. It will be added after the evaluation of the expression. Therefore, in this example, like k is equal to j plus 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 I, so j is 3, then but it is plus plus, therefore it will not add yet, and then plus 10, so it's 13. Compared here that it is already 14. So, ma'am, kailan siya magagamit? Kapag umiikot na yung expression. So that is something to do with loops and yun nga, repetitive operators. So that will be discussed by the final term na. Ayun. So, okay. So let's have some examples with the arithmetic operations. So, let's go back in our program. Ayan. So, dito sa ating program, let's just start simple, like adding things. So, let's have two numbers. First number, let's have it 10. And then, second number, let's have it 3. So, in answer. Okay, so, let's not put any value sa answer muna, since nun natin siya ilalagay. So, we have answer is equal to first number plus second number. Yeah, something like that. And then, answer pala, answer. Make sure that you're using your variables correctly. And then we're going to print it. System.out.print the answer is. Then we include answer here. Okay, so if we're going to run this one, it will just show us that the answer is 13. Basically, that's it. So if I want to change that into the multiplication, same, it's just 30. What happened? Ayan. So yeah. Basically, that's our discussion. If you have any questions, if you just feel free to DM me sa Discord or just PM our channel sa Discord, and then I will be sending your activity after maybe today also. Or yeah, sige. Okay, bye.